thanks for the intro. Yeah, so as Toby said, I'm the technologist for CROSH, and I'm also finishing my master's in engineering here at Laurentian. So today I'll be talking to you about partnering with CROSH, developing occupational health and safety solutions through collaborative applied research and kind of what's involved in those. With that, ooh, I think I might be. So a little overview. So how do we go about identifying a research project? So how do we get in contact with the people that are in industry looking at these different researchers? How do I identify the project and start it? Or we'll go through some examples of different projects I've been involved in, different projects CROSH has been involved in, and kind of see how they all tie together and into big occupational health and safety picture. We'll go through some research equipment that we have available, so can give some ideas on how we use it, what it can be used for. It might spark an interest. You can reach out, figure out some different projects that way, and then some questions at the end. So how do we identify a research area? So CROSH, it's a big interconnected group of researchers, and we work with international researchers, industrial partners, safe work associations, other research centers, joint health and safety committees, government agencies, institutional partners. So it's a big web of people talking about similar interests, all working together, trying to identify research areas that need to be examined and addressed. So some of the research centers we work with are the Institute for Work and Health, the Center for Research Expertise and Prevention for Musculoskeletal Disorders, Center for Research Expertise in Occupational Health and Disease, the Occupational Cancer Research Center. Some of the safe work associations we work with are WSN, so Work Safety North, WSPS, Workplace Safety. So there's a lot of partners involved when we're identifying research areas. Some are from bigger project scales that some work associations may identify issues, and then we can communicate with them and identify things that need to be looked at. Let's see, I think it's lagging. So what does this partnering with collaborative applied research involve? So it's open communication with the industry or the partner that has a proposed problem that they want to kind of address. It lets us brainstorm with a group of interdisciplinary researchers. So even just from today, all the different speakers, you can see there's a wide range of experts involved in CROSH. So we get multiple different backgrounds to give their insight and their view on how we could address certain issues. We get to propose the solution to the workplace and then work with the industry partner to determine if it's a feasible idea, if it's a solution that they could see maybe implementing. If it's not, then we can go back to the drawing board with all the other researchers, discuss how we can work out what the issues were and try to work together to find a feasible idea. And it also gains access to a variety of resources. So as Dr. Goggins was explaining this morning, we get different funding streams. There's different experts involved with CROSH. So you get experts reviewing the material generated, and you get access to a whole bunch of equipment that is very specialized for different applications, but and you got to share it with all the groups involved. So who is actually CROSH's research team? So as you've seen, there's lots of people involved. So there's healthcare professionals. So like Carolyn was saying, mental health specialists, there's nurses, there's health and safety specialists, so joint health and safety teams. There's physicians, there's engineers, there's ergonomists, there's computer scientists. So it's a very wide range of experts within CROSH, which when you can get around a table and all discuss the ideas to how to solve different problems, you can get different views and different things that one set of researchers might not be able to identify. You might need a second skill set to come in and give you a different view, which CROSH is excellent for. So the CROSH likes to set up their project design as a field to lab to field. So we identify the issue in the field, kind of understand it, you can work out what the hazards are. You can go back to the lab, design specific solutions in a controlled scenario, so you can take it out of the workplace, and then you can bring it back and evaluate it in the field to see if it's actually what you proposed has worked. So why use this approach? So it allows minimal delay in work process. So if you're going to an industry and you're working in, say, just mining, you don't want to go on site every day and disrupt their normal work flow. They will be hesitant to work with you. It will interfere with them too much to partner. So this way we can identify it in the field quickly, bring it back to the lab, do the majority of the work without interrupting the partner or their normal work processes, and then bring it back in and try to transition it into the field without work delays. You got to identify, or you can test and evaluate and analyze the solutions in the controlled conditions in the lab, so you're not exposing the worker or employee to the hazards. You got to have open communication with the industry partner throughout the whole process. So if there's something that we're changing and they identify something, they can come back and they'd say, oh, we want to add this aspect to it, or if we propose something, they can remove something. And then it also allows for full implementation of the proposed solution. So not only are we identifying it in the field, but we're testing it when you put it back into the field to make sure what we've proposed is going to fix the problem. So one of the examples is we're working with a mine contractor right now. So they're involved in raise bore drills work. So a raise bore is a specialized piece of equipment that kind of pulls the drill up between levels. So it connects two mine levels together, or two levels of a mine. And right now the method of operation is with the workers at the work site. So it's exposing just the workers to hazardous conditions, and it's a rough environment. So the company wants to kind of design a new machine to make this process automated and be able to operate tele-operational. So have the worker removed from the work location and be able to perform it in a safe environment. So the proposed solution is right now when the drill is operating, there's too much vibration for them they want to mount some electronic components which will enable them to automate the process. But right now there's too much vibration and it destroys the electronic components needed. So we're designing like a anti-vibration kind of isolator. So this is for people that aren't aware, this is just a basic hierarchy of controls, and you can go through different proposed solutions and kind of see where a solution could be fit into the hazard you're addressing. So for this one, it would be an engineering control. So we're trying to completely isolate the people from the hazard of the work phase. So phase one of this project would be going to the field and collecting the vibration profiles off the raise bore machine. So it involves going underground, coordinating with the industrial partner. So this would be on the partner side to work with this, schedule a time to go underground, make sure all the in-docs and all the requirements to go onto site are completed, and then determine what work operations we want to monitor, what ones and then come back up once we have enough data, and we can move to the lab component. So the second phase would be the lab component. So this is our Rotopod that we have in the workplace simulator. So we can replicate the acceleration vibration profiles off the raise bore and simulate them on here. And then this project, we're gonna test different vibration isolators for mounting this electronic component, and then we can test different signals, see what one is isolating the best, and relay that to the partner. And then once we've completed all that, had the component designed and isolated, we can return it back to the underground conditions, and we can implement the designed component and test if it's going to maintain the workability and not be destroyed in operating conditions, which was the first problem. So a second example is we're working with a PPE supplier. So right now the company that we're working with is a wheelchair cushion supplier for bed sores in wheelchairs, and they were looking to test different possible applications. So they wanted to get into kind of industrial seating applications, and we said, okay, yeah, we can. Our proposed solution was we can test your seat pads to see if they have any anti-vibration characteristics. So this is a good solution for them because it allows them to have evidence-based claims when they're trying to market this. So they can have science backing when they're selling this. And we can explore many different industries. So for this one, we can go out to different mobile equipments, we did bike testing. We can have it in multiple industries. And then when we find an industry that this type of PPE would work with, we can return to the company, say, yeah, okay, we found some findings supporting that this has some anti-vibration principles, and then we can go back to the industries and roll it out with them. So for the hierarchy controls, this is a level of just PPE protection. So it's just, you're not doing anything to the hazard, you're just giving a frontline defense for the worker. So the phase one of this study would be going out and collecting vibration profiles off as many industries, equipment as we could. So just finding different applications that these could be used in, and really examining if they can be used in that specific application. So this is going out and just collecting a whole bunch of vibration profiles. The next would be going to the lab and then testing it on the Rotopod. So we can have different seats. So depending on what application it was taken from, we can match the seating. We can do isolated seating. So if it was just a rough, rigid seat, we can test how the pads are actually isolating individually. Or we can do, like I said, there was one of the master students examined it in little bike trailers. So it just gives a wide range of different uses that you can use this technology. And then the third one would be, or the third phase of this would be returning it back to the field. So once we find applications where there is anti-vibration noticed in the pads, we can work with the workplace, say, here, if you have high levels of vibration, you can put this C-pad on and it will lower the exposure. And then a third project that we've worked with is fever screening. So with COVID, a lot of work practices and work entry protocols were developed where it was just, okay, we're going to test all the temperatures of everyone coming in, but no one has a standard yet of what is the proper protocol for doing that. Is there any play for outside conditions? Where are they coming from? Things like that. And on the hierarchy controls, this is kind of an administrative control. So it's changing the way people work. So you used to just come in, there'd be no concern for transmission of illnesses. But then with COVID, everyone had to get temperature screened. So what are they effective? Are they, what is the best method to continue this? So we tested, the first one is the field. So it's implemented. Is it a contact method that we're using? Is it a non-contact method? And by those, I mean the device that we're measuring the temperature with. So are you actually physically touching the person's forehead? or is there a distance between you and the operator? So there's different devices that are used. And then in the lab, so in the lab for this study, we tested how environmental conditions played a role in detecting a fever. So we had people go into the environmental chamber from -20 to +20, and then kind of walk around as if they were like doing a walk from their car into work. So between each region, you can kind of relate it to an approximate season of what we found. So winter, summer, fall, how would all those temperatures cover up a fever or try to mask kind of some symptoms? So we found that there should be a waiting period before the person's temperature is taken just to come into the lab or into the work. So these were some of the findings that we kind of discovered, that if it's cold outside, you're going to have the person wait for their temperature to adjust before you can get an accurate reading. So it's just a way that we gave some rough guidelines for work entry protocols. And then for this study, the last field component would be going to all the workplaces and letting them know what we found. So knowledge transfer kits. Depending on the industry, you could help them set up waiting areas where you could have proper spacing and different things like that, depending on the industry, and then do field study to determine if they are working. Are any undetected fevers getting passed, or if there's any other concerns with the methods proposed. So again, as the workplace simulator tech, this is the equipment that we have available. So we have vibration Rotopod, so vibration transmissibility. We can do musculoskeletal loading. We can do vibration-induced injury, all those. The environmental chamber, so we can test multiple different things: fatigue, heat stress, nutrition. And then we do eye tracking, so virtual reality, line of sight detection, a whole scope on that. And then also the metabolic cart is available for breath by breath metabolic analysis, pulmonary function tests, fitness tests. So the equipment we have available is used in a lot of applications, and we need partners' help to determine what they are looking for in their things. And we can combine these. We have other ones that we can add in. So there's lots of areas that we can kind of integrate and look for different areas to research. And then if you have any questions, yeah.
Thanks very much, Wes, for your insights there. So the first one is a comment from Dr. Day, and so it's regarding the ability to calculate mean time before failure, or MTBF. And he says that machines can be, some ability to calculate this for machines can be huge from a predictive perspective. Yeah, and so if you wanted to maybe just comment on that.
Yeah, so in one of my classes, we actually did, it was a maintenance a class where we use vibration analysis techniques to determine mean time to failures. And yeah, so I know that companies collect that data. All their machines should have mean time before failure kind of database that you could go through and look through some of them. It would be a good indicator for maybe highlighting some risks. So if your mean time is short, that means you're having a lot of failures for your machines. So it could in short periods. So it might indicate a higher risk for an incident to occur. But yeah, that it could, if you have, that would be, I'm reading now the big talk data. If there is those types of data, you could dive in, like Emily was saying, and do analysis on these to see how you can predict some stuff and different things like that.
Perfect. Yes, yeah, again, I know you alluded to Dr. Day's other comment with that. So it's I mean, the amount that, can be explored is just, it's amazing, right?
Yeah, like Emily was saying, if you have a big data set, you can do a lot with it if you have the right people to look at it and know how kind of what you're trying to dig through and sift out.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Dr. Day, for bringing, for dialoguing that. We do have another question, or a question coming in here, and that's looking at just more generally vibration. Is that, is it a serious concern for injury in workplaces, and how concerned should we be? And maybe not just injury, but long-term health effects. Could you talk a little bit about that, Wes? If that's
Yeah. So vibration. It's one of those kind of unknown hazards. Everyone is exposed to it pretty much every day. If you're driving a car, you're gonna be exposed to it. But it's the level of vibration that is the main concern. So being aware of the level of vibration. If you're driving around and you're getting shook up, you should talk to somebody and see if maybe you should get it monitored, and then you can determine the level of exposure. And then from there, there's different solutions and pathways you can address. So maybe it's grooming the road more, or subbing out more, or things. But some of the health concerns are low back pain. If it's hands and feet, there's white finger induced vibration. So there use some nerve damage, similar to the foot one. It's foot transmitted. It's what Dr. Goggins looked at, which is nerve damage in the feet. So long-term exposure to vibration, you can have some nerve damage with loss of circulation in the hands and toes, and then low back pain too.
Perfect. Thank you. So it is very, very serious. And I guess without getting into too many specifics, just I guess in past projects, I know we've been involved as CROSH and doing kind of vibration analyses of certain industries or workplaces. Is that usually like, how does that kind of specific, like a vibration analysis? I know you kind of you did touch it on it in your presentation, but like a specific vibration analysis of say a piece of machinery in industry, how would that go about?
Yeah, so there is a standard for vibration exposure. So you can go out into the field, collect the vibration level, and then from that you'll know if there's some health caution guidance zone. So if you're within a range, there's a high risk of injury. If you're in a certain range, there's a moderate risk of injury, and if you're like in a lower range, then you're good. So there's a standard that's followed for these that you run different analyses on.
That makes sense.
The question.
And I guess a more general kind of question, just in terms of, because right now you're juggling being, a full-time student and a full-time technologist. And I guess just like looking for, the students that are in the audience, things like how are you able to apply what you kind of learn as a master's in engineering student to occupational health and safety in a very generic sense?
Yeah, I get exposed to a lot of different classes. So even the maintenance class I was taking, a lot of the maintenance techniques that they're using now are all vibration kind of based. So for my work, I was able to translate that to the vibration side of the projects we worked on. So it gave me a different application that those are used in. I'm getting exposed to kind of different areas. So one of mine was risk management in underground conditions or mine machinery selection. So I get to get exposed to kind of different areas of industry. So if we're selecting why did people choose this machine? What was the thought process behind choosing machines? And then from that, okay, well, what are those occupational health risks that are involved with that machine? So, or one of mine was a materials handling class. So different systems to move, conveyor systems or trucks, like why are you choosing a conveyor system over a truck system, and then identifying different hazards with each of those systems. So each course you can kind of take from it and learn, okay, yeah, why is someone doing this, and then with them doing that, what risks do those introduce into the workplace?
Right. Okay, thank you. Very I like the insight. That's a cool insight into that world. Yeah. So thank you very much.
A good way to look at it is the hierarchy of controls. You can that's just a very rough framework, but you can kind of fit different things into each category and see where it fits. Is it a PPE control? Are you completely eliminating the control? So like compared to just the conveyors and moving trucks, you're eliminating a control of just mobile equipment if you're going with a conveyor system, right? So
Right. Of course. Yeah.
there's different ways that you can design a workplace to eliminate certain hazards at all.